as I was just saying, the omission of the migrant crisis today by Keir Starmer in his useless speech was a disgrace, an absolute disgrace. But let's talk about a story that I think is a snapshot. It crystallises the scandal of our migrant crisis. It's the story of a Lithuanian guy called Audrius Vakorskas. He was first deported. He came here illegally. He was first deported in November 2015. He was again deported in February 2019, so he got back in after being initially deported. Then deported again in June 2021, and then deported again in May 2022, and deported again in August last year. He's 44 years old. The police arrested him in Peterborough in April. He's doing 2 years now after pleading guilty to immigration charges. And when he completes his sentence, he will be deported for the 6th time. Now, stand by, Russell, for the stupidest quote you will ever hear. This is from a Cambridgeshire copper called PC Tom Todd. PC Tom Todd. He is commenting on the saga of Audrius Vakorskas. Tom Todd. Take it away, Tom. I hope this case sends a strong message that people found to be in breach of deportation orders will be found eventually. No, Tom. Let me tell you the message that this case sends. The strong message that this case sends. That is that our borders are ludicrously porous, so ludicrously porous that it is pathetically easy to keep breaking back into Britain. That's the message we get from this, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Tom Todd should have kept his mouth shut because, talk about digging the hole even deeper. To be clear as well, let me just clarify how this particular individual was found and deported the first 5 times. It wasn't because the immigration officers, the Home Office, Border Force and so on were out looking for him, found him and put him in prison. Do you know what? Every single time he was nicked for another crime. So to be very, very clear, comes here, commits a crime, gets deported, comes back, commits another crime, gets deported, times 5. Now, when these people arrive on their small boats, as we're seeing now on the screen, and they get hurried via a concierge into a nice warm 4-star hotel room with a mobile phone on a silver plate and, unlimited Domino's pizzas from Domino's at Dover and so on, do we not take their bloody fingerprints so that we can at least identify these ne'er-do-wells, so we know who they are in the system and where they are and what they're doing for the future. But also, look, shock horror, is it just me that thinks that we should be trying to check through Interpol how many of these anonymous people, these 30 to 40,000 people a year that come across on small boats anonymously, how many actually might be criminals, rapists, muggers, terrorists even? How do we not fingerprint these people so that this person, this criminal, would not slip through the net? Because, of course, once he came over the next time on the boat and got fingerprinted, they'd say, we know who you are. A, you shouldn't be here because you've already been deported. And second, you're wanted for other crimes. It doesn't take a genius to suggest this, does it?
No, it doesn't. And it absolutely proves that, you're right. It proves 2 things. We don't really keep a record of people who break into this country illegally, who come across on small boats or by other methods. And secondly, that if you have a will to break into this country, if you want to do it...
It's not really breaking in, Kev, is it? It's not really breaking in. It's wandering in.
Well, yeah, if you want to illegally get into this country, it's as easy as pie. No problem at all, as our friend Audrius Vakorskas proves. If you want to get in, you can. Remember that case about a month ago, the guy with the Kalashnikov tattooed on his face, who from Sweden sent a message to Nigel Farage, I'm coming for you and I'm going to kill you. And people said, oh, well, he won't be allowed. What was it? About 3 weeks after that, or 2 weeks after that message, he films himself on a small boat with his Kalashnikov coming across saying, here I am.
In the White Cliffs of Dover.
Yeah. We do not prevent anyone who wants to come here can come here illegally. It's a disgrace. You know,
can we just take a second to applaud Rupert Lowe, the Reform MP for Great Yarmouth, who over the last few weeks, actually, and I know we've interviewed him, you've spoken to him, and so have other presenters on Talk, the great work he's doing to try and prise out of the government the statistics, the data, the numbers that relate in particular to illegal migrants that come here and then commit crimes, particularly when they've been deported and come back. It is in the tens of thousands. It's numbers that, of course, surprise, surprise, the government doesn't want to reveal. But Rupert Lowe, because he's an MP and he has power and he has privilege in a political and a parliamentary sense, he's doing a fantastic job at exposing this. When these numbers come out, thanks to Rupert Lowe, over the next weeks and months, we as a nation are going to be even more horrified to see the carnage that he's levied on our societies and our streets as a consequence of people that shouldn't even be here committing further crimes. Let's just think for a second about the victims of muggings and rapes, where the victims and their families find out that the person that perpetrated that particular crime was kicked out of the country and then came back to perpetrate other crimes. It is absolutely a stacking offence insofar as any politician that has had their hands on the Home Office for years, frankly. It's an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, and I think it was just 2 days ago it was revealed that 10,000 foreigners who committed serious enough offences to send them to jail were released and allowed to stay. Now, think about all of this. Think about what we're talking about. Think about these shocking statistics. And for that matter, think about the legal immigration. You know, 906,000 2 years ago, 728,000 last year, 750,000 legal immigrants allowed into the country by the useless Tories, and of course continuing to be allowed in by the useless Labour Party. Add that to this illegal crisis we've got, and Keir Starmer doesn't think that's worth mentioning in his 6 milestones. He doesn't think it's worth sort of saying, we'll try and sort that out.
What he should be targeting, Kevin, and wouldn't it have been refreshing and satisfying to see a Prime Minister whose main task is to protect the people of the country that he leads, right? That is what Prime Ministers are there for, whether it be financially, whether it be legally, criminally, economically, whatever. Wouldn't it be wonderful, actually, if he and previous Prime Ministers had the balls, frankly, to say, do you know what I'm going to target? I'm not just going to target a reduction in legal and illegal immigration. I'm also going to target deportations. Now, successive governments, including this one, they tend to deport just hundreds of criminals that are foreign and shouldn't be here, that don't have a right to be here, on a yearly basis. Now, there's no will to do so. We also, of course, have the ECHR in the way, and that's an obvious conversation and debate that we've all had on Talk for months and months and years. But there is no will to get rid of these people. And frankly, until we're deporting tens of thousands of illegal migrants that commit crime on a yearly basis, then there's nothing really to write home about at all. This country is not being protected by the government that has been elected to do exactly that.
And millions of people are very worried about this. The vast majority of people in this country are very worried about it. And Keir Starmer's trying to avoid the subject, the very crucial subject, because it's awkward for him, because he's got no idea what to do. This is going to get worse and worse and worse, and he doesn't even mention it in his keynote speech today. What a scandal. What an absolute scandal.